Hello to everyone tuning in. I hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're watching or listening to this. My name is William Bolch. I'm the host of the College Athlete Life, where we gain a further understanding of the college athlete experience through the eyes of a college athlete. Welcome to the fifth episode. Joining me today is a field athlete from Fresno Pacific University. My guest today is the very dedicated and multi-talented Alicia Garcia. Thank you for joining me today, and how are you going?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. It's been a good day, just some homework and practice, so usual college athlete stuff.
that's, that's good to hear. So, would you like to give the viewers or listeners a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a senior at Fresno Pacific University. This is my last semester. I'm a javelin thrower on the track team. I just started last season actually, so I've only been doing it for a year. I'm a communication integrated media major, and yeah, that's it, I think.
Okay, so I guess we'll start growing up. What was growing up like for you? Like, what kind of person were you like in school, outside of school?
So in school, actually, in middle school and high school, I actually kind of struggled with my grades a little bit. It was kind of a struggle for me, going to like two practices a day and then trying to incorporate weightlifting. So I struggled because after a day, you go to school all day and then you practice all night. So by the time I showered and ate dinner, it was a struggle for me to do my homework. And I
Hmm.
actually should have done a lot better, but actually, when I got to college, I started picking up my grades a lot more. Been on the dean's list in my community college before I transferred to Fresno Pacific. But other than that, outside of school, I was always involved in a lot of things. Like even in elementary school, um, I was involved in every sport I could do. I was in leadership, choir, band, anything that I could do, I did it. So although I struggled with my grades a little bit, I think I was involved in a lot ever since I was younger.
Hmm. And during that time, you said that you like to participate in many activities. Was javelin or athletics in particular, was that ever of interest to you?
Yeah, so I played softball my whole life actually. I only did track like 2 seasons in elementary school, but it's not that big of a deal. We only go to one track meet in elementary school. It's just all elementary schools competing against each other. But softball was always my sport. So I played that my whole life. And then I did volleyball in middle school, which was really fun, but I never continued it in high school. But like I said, I barely picked up javelin last spring in 2021 of my junior year in college. So that is pretty new for me. I didn't even know about the javelin actually at all.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
I guess do you want to sort of talk about switching from the community college to Fresno Pacific, and then I guess moving to being a college athlete.
hmm So my intention coming out of high school, I stopped playing softball. I made that decision to stop playing and just focus on my studies since I did struggle a little bit to um, balance both. And so my grades and making sure I take the most out of my college experience, my education was my top priority. So in community college, I just thought I was just gonna focus on school, and I did for a while. I wasn't working or anything. And I had that privilege my mom gave me is that my school is my job. So I gave my all to school and it paid off. Like I said, I made the dean's list a couple semesters. But I transferred to Fresno Pacific after I spent 2 years at Reedley College. Um, and then so that's when I got recruited as a walk-on actually to the track team. I was only at FPU for one semester, so I wasn't an athlete yet. But I mean, I was playing like recreational adult slow pitch softball, so I was kind of still moving around a little bit, but that was just for fun. It's not real serious. And it was definitely a shift when I picked up javelin because that was another thing that became on my plate, and getting involved because obviously you work at it like every day. So
Mm.
it was definitely a shift, but I've had a lot of fun so far.
Well, that's good to hear. I
Mhm.
guess, do you sort of want to talk about like the difference between being recruited like as a full college athlete, I guess, and then the difference between that and being a college athlete walk on? Like, what's the
Mhm.
difference between those two?
So usually, so my case is kind of unique because usually my head coach said that usually most people are recruited like out of high school. They're scouted in high school, and then we ask them to come to our school, and they like tour the school and everything. But for me, it was different because I was already going to school there. And so I'll just tell you the background story of how I got on the team. So basically, um, I was working at my job on campus, and it was called the checkpoint. So it was during when COVID was really, really bad, and there was a little more protocols in place. So everyone who came on campus had to check in through my little box before they entered campus. So Coach Hansen, which is our throws coach, he went through the window and he was like, "Hey, what sport do you play, sweetie?" And I was like, nothing. I mean, I used to play softball my whole life, but I don't do that anymore. And he's you look like a javelin thrower. How about would you consider trying it out? And I was like, I'd have to think about it. And then he's like, well, think about it. And so I called my mom and my grandpa right away, and I was like, should I try it? And then they're like, I mean, what do you have to lose? And it's funny because my coach, he's old school, so he was like, if I don't see any potential there, I'll let you know, and I won't waste your time. And I was like, okay. And I was like, so what did I have to lose? But I was a little nervous because I usually don't like doing things that I'm not that good at, or it kind of, I'm just a competitive person in general. So
Mm.
I was a little nervous for that. But I had to get cleared obviously before I went to go out and try it out. So I got cleared, and then by January of 2020, I went out there for a practice, and he said I had a lot of potential, and he liked what I saw. And so he said, would you like to be on the team? And I thought about it over the weekend, and I kept going to practice from there. And I only had 3 weeks to prepare before my first meet. And it was it was interesting, but it was fun because it's like no one was expecting anything from me because I had never done it before, never even heard of it.
Mm.
So that was the fun part about it, is that there's no expectation. So anything that I ever did good last season was like, whoa, it was fun. And it was fun to like figure out what I could do with it.
Okay. And I know, for example, with athletic sports, if you will, such as running, I know there's both an indoor and an outdoor season. Is that the same with throws, such as javelin, or is it just one full season?
So Javelin is only an outdoor event. The only throws events for an indoor is I think it's weight throw, shot put. Um, I think that's it as far as throws, because I know discus and javelin are for sure only outdoor. So I never competed in an indoor season. Javelin is the only event I've done so far in track.
Okay. And is that a summer sport or is that a winter sport, or how does that sort of work?
It's a spring.
Okay.
As far as I know, like for college, the main season is in spring. The indoor season usually starts during winter, um, but the outdoor season usually starts in spring. The first meets usually start around February, so we're in full swing now in our season right now.
Okay. And you briefly talked about meets. Are they against local schools or regional schools, or is it sometimes even national meets that you participate in?
Yeah, so we have when we go to meets, they're usually like invitationals, and it just I mean we kind of mix with divisions, so there'll be Division 1 schools, D2 and D3 schools even in track meets, which is pretty cool because we get to see a lot more schools than maybe other sports wouldn't see. But we do have conferences in California, so we're in the Pac West conference. Um, so during invitationals, we see a lot of different schools, but the one that is most important to probably our team is the Pac West Conference Championships. So that meet is only against other schools who are in California that are in the Pac West Conference. But there's also the NCAA Division 2 nationals. While each there's D1, D2, and then D3,
Yeah.
and each one has its own national championship meet. So not not everyone on the team goes. You have to qualify individually to go to nationals. So that's how that works.
Okay. And for example, I know in Australia we don't get too much athletics college or college athletics coverage, basketball being the main sport that we see, and that we see schools such as Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky, are generally the major basketball colleges, if you will. What are like the major college sporting teams when it comes to athletics?
Hmm. Well, honestly, I don't know too much about that because I am new to track, but I know around here, Azusa Pacific is a really good competition for us. They're a good athletics department altogether. So it's always nice competing against them because they have some really good track athletes there. So it's always fun to get some good competition. I know I think they won the NCAA Division II Nationals last season as a team, which is really awesome. Um, but there's obviously the Division I schools, and like the first ones that I think of are like UCLA, USC.
Mm,
Um, but I don't know too much about it since I am new to track.
yeah.
So I learn as I go.
Is there, I'm not too sure if this is a thing, but for example, is there a way where, for example, like your athletics team could be a Div 1 program, but your basketball team could be a Div 2 program, or is like, or you're all in the same division no matter what?
So our whole athletics department has to be in the same division, I think. So I'm pretty sure that's how it is. I know that's for sure how our school is, where all of our athletics teams are in Division II
Yeah.
as an athletic department, and I'm pretty sure that's how it is for everybody. Your whole athletic department is in a certain division. There's also the NAIA, so there's NCAA and NAIA. There might be another one, but I'm not sure. So
Hmm.
we used to be a NAIA school, from what I heard, and then we just a few years back shifted to the NCAA.
Okay. And you mentioned like the hard work that it does take to be an athlete.
Mhm.
What's your training schedule like?
Um, so now that we're in season, I do a lot more throwing than I did in the off season. Usually in the off season, that's when we're really putting in a lot of work in the weight room, especially throwers. Um, like, well, it's funny because my coach says as a javelin thrower, I might do a little more running work than the rest of the throwers. They're going to be more heavy in the weight room. But definitely in the off season, we do a lot of weight training and then a lot of more. I ran a lot in the off season, but now that we're in season, we still try to maintain our, well, that's a goal as a squad. We try to maintain our weightlifting, so we don't want to totally abandon it. So I try to do that a few times a week, and then um, mostly throwing practice for a couple hours. Monday through Friday, we have practice every day. Um, but usually I only do like full throws with the javelin, meaning I do my full run and then throw. I only do that about once a week before competition because with the javelin, it's really rough on your body.
Mm,
So I can't do full throws like 2 times a week before competition because that'll be by the time I get to competition on Saturday, which we have meets every Saturday, I'm probably, my body's not gonna be able to handle it as well. It's a lot on the body. I feel like the movement's not very natural.
yeah.
So it's a lot, but every day I do running at practice and uh, what else do I do? Yeah, a lot of picking, mostly with the javelin. So yeah.
Fair enough. And although this is going to be coming out in a week's time, today is International Women's Day. So, what's it like being a woman in sport?
Um, I'd say um I think it's nice having, well, as a new college athlete, I find it nice to see like really great women in the Olympics. Like I look up to those women in the Olympics and seeing how they carry themselves with so much class and dignity. Um and then that's only, it's like beyond their talent. Like it shows who they are as a person, and so like beyond obviously their skill that they have and how good they do. I think it's nice to try to replicate that, and it's nice to see other women in sports do that, because what we do, like say on the track or on the court, no matter what you do, there's so much more to that. And like I've discussed this before with talking with other people, like we're more than athletes, and so it's who you are and the way you carry yourself out there. That's really important, and it shows who you are. And I think there's just so many women to look up to for that. And I always try to make sure I carry myself a certain way no matter where I am, and
Mm.
especially during competition as well.
Despite like your short time at Fresno Pacific, do you feel that women's sports is been, I guess, more supported and more promoted than it previously was when you first came into the program?
Mm, to Fresno Pacific, the
Yeah.
athletic.
Or like, has the college already like been pretty good with it?
I think the college has been really good with it. I mean, I'm a part of the athletics communications program, so whatever I work with them, so whatever gets put out, I'm like I pay attention to what gets put out, obviously, and I think they've always done a really good job on covering both men and women. I think my boss does a great job. I'm trying to get diverse coverage on everything. I think he does a really good job. So I think they've always done a good job at that, which I'm proud of. I'm proud to be a part of that department.
And I guess you just alluded to it. Our next topic is sports media at your school, and you're a part of that team. So, what do you do as your role on campus, and what would you say your role is on campus when it comes to sports media?
Mm. So I'm just a student assistant, but what I like about working for my boss Christian is that he gives all of us student interns the opportunity to explore whatever we want in the communications department. But I do have my own segment that I created and that he helped me start up, which is Alicia's Top Plays of the Week. So I attend every home game that there is and that I'm able to make as long as track allows me to.
Mm.
Um, I I pay attention to, or I try to remember any good play that I see. And it's not hard to remember because say I'm at a basketball game and I've recently put a lot of dunks in my top plays um, by the same guy, Darren. And um, that's not hard to miss. Like if I'm at
Yeah.
the game and he dunks and everyone gets really excited, I'm like, oh, that's going in my top plays. So I just observe at the games and try to learn more about each sport because I want to become a sports journalist one day. And at the end of the week, I go into the video production process and I put all the clips of the plays together, and then I do a voiceover and explain um, what happened during the play. But I really just strive to help promote our athletes because they deserve it, and everyone works so hard to get where they are. And so I like being a part of the team to promote other athletes. And I also do other little things on the side when I can. I make like halftime graphics to post on social media. I'll take videos during the game and post them on our Instagram stories. I've taken some basketball pictures like once before, so I explored photography a little bit, video a little bit. So it's just everything we do is just to try to promote all of our athletes.
And you talked about the promotion of athletes, the promotion of the sporting program. Is there a goal by you being a part of this sports media team, like a career objective, if you will?
hmm So, like I said, I want to be a sports journalist, but more particularly a sports anchor.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to get on camera and just say who I am before my top plays. That's in the intro of my top plays. Um, and I've practiced on camera a little bit, standing there with a microphone, just getting some practice in during the games, because that's my ultimate goal is to be a sports anchor. I've always wanted to go into news, but more recently when I got into high school, it was like sports is where I want to be.
Mm,
News is a little heavy for me.
yeah.
So like sometimes so and I love sports. I've always been into I have an appreciation for athletes and what they do and every sport really. It always amazes me sometimes even when I go to different events here at FPU. Like I'll go to a water polo game and I hadn't really gone to much water polo games before in my life. And so when I started covering their matches, I was like, wow, a lot of work goes into water polo and it seems really, really hard. And it just helps me appreciate more of each sport.
Hmm. Well, that's good. Um,
Mhm.
I guess we'll sort of go back to what the studies are like at Fresno. So, what's your major and like, what are your subjects that you take?
Mhm. So my major is communications with an emphasis in integrated media. So but what I like about my major is that I study the core of communications down to, the nitty-gritty philosophy of language, which is what I have right now. That's a tough class for me. But I've taken communication theory and intercultural communication, which is fun. But then I have my emphasis, which is a big part of contributing to my goals for in my career. So that includes video production, graphic design. I've taken photography classes, just a bunch of like media things, which is really, really fun. So I like the core of my major, communications, and then the integrated media classes, just jumping around in the media like classes. It was really fun because I think it's helping me become all around because even though I specifically want to go into reporting, at least I have some video production background and some, working with Adobe softwares. And all those classes have been super, super fun. And I've never had a regret on picking the major that I picked.
Mm. Well, as you were saying, that those classes are fun. However, from what you've said, it seems that you moved to Fresno during a time where the coronavirus pandemic was going on. So, what
Mhm.
was that like, or did you sort of just come towards the end of it?
So actually, I only live 20 minutes away from Fresno, south of Fresno. I've it's a small town called Selma, and I've lived here my whole life. So I live in the same home I've lived in since I was a little girl with my mom and my sister. So going to school and I actually remember I was at Reedley College. So I was still at my community college when the pandemic started up in 2020. We made that shift to online during my last semester, the middle of my last semester at my community college. So right before I was graduating there. And I was like, at first, it was funny because I didn't even know how big this was gonna be, but
Mm.
I was almost happy because I was like, oh, I'm getting kind of tired, and towards the end of finishing at the community college. So I was like, yeah, I get to do class at home and I don't have to drive and stay at school all day long. But never knowing, little did I know how of a problem this was gonna be globally. And I wouldn't have been so happy if I would have known that. But um, I when I transferred to Fresno Pacific, we were still obviously online, and I'm still living at home. So it was it was hard because I have more appreciation of being in class, in
Mm.
person classes. I personally just learn better that way. It's not that online classes are hard. They're not that much harder. They're just I feel like I'm just not getting the full experience
Yeah.
as I would be in person. So it was hard, but I did get used to it. Um, but I'm so glad I in my senior year at FPU, at least I'm glad I got 1 year of being in person and almost got like a normal experience, even though it's not fully normal, but at least I was in person. And once we made that shift back to in person last semester, I've met so many more people than I did my first semester or my first year at FPU because we were online. So
Mm. And what is the college culture like at Fresno Pacific? Like, is it a big campus? Is it a small campus?
It's definitely a small campus. It's a smaller school compared to other schools or even our neighbor university, Fresno State, compared to their. They're much bigger than us. But that's why I think that part of the reason why I went to FPU, because since I am from a small town, I like the sense of the more tighter community it has. And I feel like that's definitely FPU. It's like if you live in a small town and everybody kind of knows everybody. And if you don't know them, you at least seen their face before, which I like. So it's definitely like a small community, but definitely tight. And I think everybody pretty much cares and supports everybody from what I've seen, which I really like.
Okay. Um, what would you say is the coolest thing that's on campus?
I would say our chapel because we are a Christian university, and so I think I don't think I don't know how many campuses have their own little chapel, but it's really nice and it's pretty and it's like a safe spot to go. I feel like on campus if you're feeling really anxious or having a lot of anxiety or anything, place to just relax and meditate or pray, whatever you need to do. So I think that's probably the coolest spot.
Okay. Let's move on to goals. So, what would you say are your goals for the short and long term in terms of being a college athlete and then, I guess, a future athlete?
Mm, so short term wise is probably to place in our Pac West Conference Championships. Um, I definitely want to place higher than I did last year. Um, and also to qualify for the nationals because it will be hard, but I I believe and my coach does believe in me too that I could do that. So which is coming up quick. Our season just started, but it's like nationals is in the end of May, and that's gonna come sooner than we think. So every week counts at this point, really. So that's my short term goals. And honestly, just keep um, making personal records and grow up higher on the all-time list because right now I'm currently eighth all-time in FPU history. So to jump up on that list would be cool. Long term, that is hard to talk about because I am a senior at
Mhm.
FPU, so I am graduating. I do have NCAA eligibility left, so technically I could still throw javelin. But I know I won't stay at FPU because they don't exactly have the program I was looking for.
Okay.
So I do plan to get my master's at some point. I just don't know when I want to exactly. But I know I will go back. Um, so I don't know how that would work as far as the javelin. I would love to continue throwing javelin. I love it and I really have fun with it. But I'm not too sure how that's gonna go yet after this season.
Mhm. And you briefly talked about a master's there. Um, what else are goals of yours away from college and away from athletics?
Um, Probably just to keep growing professionally. Because I know the field I want to go into is really competitive. And even if I don't ever make it as a sports anchor in a big sports network, then I know that if I fall short, my goal is to always just keep growing professionally and just as a person and just to never stop learning from anybody um, or about anything. I just want to continue to keep learning um, e- even outside of school about just anything really.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like that'll help me grow. And so obviously, like I said, my goal is to be a sports anchor. So really, whatever steps help me get to there, I'm gonna try to take those next steps for myself. Um, but the main goal is obviously just to always just be happy and take care of myself and um, my family. Um, and then I did get accepted to um, a semester in LA through another college, so I will be living in LA this summer. and an internship's required. So during that time, I hope that will also help me grow professionally over the summer and really help me take that next big step towards my career goals. And I think that's obviously going to be right after graduation. So it's like you're getting that feel of a real world, as everyone says after college. And I'll be living outside of home for the first time ever. So I feel like I'll learn a lot about myself there, living on my own without my family, which will be hard, but I think that'll help towards my growth too overall.
Is that something that excites you, or is that something that makes you a bit anxious and nervous about?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm excited, like I said, for the reason I just said of being able to grow personally and professionally. Um, but also it makes me nervous because, like I said, never left the nest really. I've lived
Mm.
in Selma my whole life, and I've always lived with my mom and sister, and pretty tight with my family. All my family live here. They're all from here, so it that makes me a little nervous too. But at the same time, LA is only 3 hours away, so if I need to come home one weekend, I can come home. So that's a good part.
Okay. And what do you do away from college when you're at home, relaxing, or have your spare time?
Mm, Probably play video games, to be honest. During like any winter break or anything like that, I'm like, yes, I can play some video games because that's what I like to do. Just relax. Because honestly, if we have a winter break or a spring break or any summer breaks, I'm like, I'm definitely not gonna feel guilty about being lazy.
Yeah.
Because we need to take the athletes need to take care of themselves. Obviously, there's off season, you need to keep up with your like weight training and stuff. But other than that, I'm like, if I'm if I'm not doing much, then that's okay. And I love watching movies, playing video games. Those are probably my top two things.
Okay. I will get into that a little bit later. Um, but during our pre-meeting discussions, you were mentioning that you currently volunteer for a non-profit against human trafficking. Would you be able to talk to us a bit about that?
Mhm. So, I volunteer. Well, my sister actually works for the nonprofit organization that I volunteer with. They're called the Central Valley Justice Coalition. She's what got me interested in going to one of their events a few years back, and they obviously talked a little bit about human trafficking, trying to educate whoever was there a little bit. And I realized how much I didn't know. And so that bothered me because I think everyone should be aware of it. And so I decided I was going to volunteer, and um, I want to do things that aren't just beneficial for me because I care for people, and I don't want to be selfish in that way.
Mm.
Um, and So I've started volunteering there, and then in 2020, we created a youth coalition called Students Ending Exploitation. So I help run that with another volunteer, and it's gone well so far. We have gotten some all different ages involved, and that was our goal, is to get all the way from middle school even to college students involved. That way we can help educate our peers, because it's easy to get the adults in and help the organization and learn from the organization, but it's a little harder with the youth. So that was our goal, was to bring in more youth to help each other and educate each other. So that started last year, and so I help run that right now as a student leader for C.
Okay. And you also mentioned that, you previously mentioned, I guess, that your lack of knowledge on the topic sort of frustrated you and you wanted to learn more about it.
Mhm.
Like, what brought upon that fire that to like make you motivated, I guess, because you can be a volunteer, but then you can also do what you're doing and then like go in the extra mile to like promote this and stuff. So
Mhm.
what motivated you to go that extra step?
I'd probably say um realizing that, so when I did start educating myself a little more, how close it can hit to home, and
Mm,
it can literally happen. Anyone could be human trafficked or exploited. Um, like a lot of people think, oh, this wouldn't happen here, or this
yeah.
wouldn't happen maybe even in the Central Valley, but it does, and it's literally everywhere, and it could happen to anyone at any time. So knowing how close to home that could hit, or to even think about it, is harsh. And even with my friends, um,
Mm,
just knowing vulnerabilities and um like risks, especially when, like, even so I started when I was in high school, and so a lot of things are going on in high school when you're a teenager. There's a lot of things that people, like a lot of your friends, do, and you're like, it's kind of iffy to you,
mm,
or putting themselves at risk, and they may not even know it. And so just once I got educated, becoming aware of all these different things and all these different risks that some of us do that we don't even know. I guess that's kind of what struck that fire, and I just wanted to even help someone if I ever came across it, if I ever saw it out in public, knowing that if I saw something, at least I know to at least call the hotline and see what I could do or something. So just being aware myself means that maybe one day it could come in handy and I could help someone else.
mm. Well, I really do like that. That's really good that you're getting involved in that. I reckon, well, that in Australia at least, it's not communicated or promoted that well. We don't hear about it on the news at all. So, I'm glad that there are people, especially people our age, that care about it and are willing to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess we'll sort of move on to like a random round of questions, if you will. So I've got a fair few questions here, completely random. So yeah, just do your best to answer them, I guess. Um,
Okay.
who would you say is your biggest influence?
Ooh, that's hard. I would say probably my grandpa. Because he has been like a big one of my big father figures in my life. So I feel like he likes to tell stories. So a lot of his stories, I guess, kind of communicate wisdom in a sense. So
Mm,
growing up with him, all these stories that he tells us kind of uh, shaped me to who I am, I guess, in a way. So probably he has a big influence, and I care a lot about what he thinks. So I guess that based a lot of some of my decisions.
okay. A favorite movie genre?
Movie genre, rom-coms for sure, because I like comedy, and then romance. I don't know. It's funny because back then I thought I'm not much of a softie, but I'm pretty much a sensitive person. So I like laughing, and I like dramatic stuff in romance movies too.
Have you got a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I don't, because there's way too many. You know what? No, my favorite movie is Rocky, and then
Okay.
it's always been my favorite movie. Well, series, I guess. I don't know if I could choose one, but it's definitely my favorite series, and it always has been since I was little. All my uncles kind of put that on me. I have
Yeah.
three uncles, and my mom's the only girl, so it was always like our like pump up movie, like before I'd go to my softball tournament the next day or something. So that's always been one of my favorites.
Okay. Our favorite food?
Pasta.
Good choice. Um, if you're going out, shops, sports game, whatever it may be, what are three things that you always take with you when you head out?
My keys, obviously, my wallet, and nowadays hand sanitizer. And everyone laughs
Yeah.
at me because I always have a bottle of hand sanitizer in my pocket. But I take that everywhere with me now too. And my phone. I know that's four, but yeah, those are four things I literally have to walk out the door with.
Okay. How would your friends describe you?
Um, they'd probably say I'm stubborn, to be honest, because I'm not sure. I think it's funny because I'll argue with them a lot. Not like seriously argue, but
Yeah,
I like to, I always have something to say, I guess.
that's fair enough. Favorite music genre.
Favorite music, hip hop slash rap for sure.
Favorite song.
Mm, I don't like it's the same way with movies. I'm the same way with music. Probably can't pick one, but I know one at the top of my head that I like is Essence with
Yeah.
Justin Bieber, and I forgot the other artist. But yeah.
Kanye or Drake.
Drake for sure.
Ooh. All right. I agree with that. Warm up slash pump up song before an event.
Last Breath by Future. And I think if you listen to it, you'd probably know why. It has the Rocky theme song in it. So
Yeah.
definitely gets me pumped up.
Um, Similar to the song, have you got a pre-game or pre-event routine?
Yeah. So I do have to listen to that song on my headphones before every meet. I usually run a couple laps, do my little like warm up steps. Like you'll see a lot of the track people do the same steps. Stretching after that, and then picking. I literally it's just my warm up takes like an hour at the least, and
Mm.
I have to do that before every competition, or else I feel like I'm not warm. And I feel like it's really important to be warm before you throw javelin, because like I said, it's so rough on the body. So, and then my picking takes like another 30 minutes, and then by the time we get on the runway, and then I got to do some 5 steps, and which is like half a throw almost, and then get ready for finally my full throws. And I pray every time before I throw, because I feel like at the time that javelin came into my life, it was definitely a blessing, and I think it was for a reason that I got picked up to throw javelin. So I just thank God every time for that blessing, no matter how well I do that day. And I always pray to give me the strength to throw a PR today,
Mm.
because that's always my goal every meet.
What is your PR?
My what?
Personal record, personal
Oh,
best.
right now it is 41:36. I'm not sure the centimeters, but it's 41 something. So 41 meters and maybe like 36 meters or something like
Okay.
that. Mhm.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why?
Oh, probably somewhere off on the on like a beach cliff in Malibu. I
Okay.
always wanted to live on the beach and have a house on the beach. And California is so pretty. I love living here for the type of scenery we have here. So I think I'm very lucky to have everything surround. Living in the Central Valley, I'm so lucky to have everything surrounding me. That's the best parts of California.
Hmm. Our favorite sport besides athletics.
Softball for sure, because I played softball my whole life.
Yeah.
Softball slash baseball. I love watching baseball. Going to like um the baseball games here. We have a team called Fresno Grizzlies, so they're like a pro team. So baseball, softball.
Okay. Are there more wheels or doors?
Uh, like in general, like in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
That's a funny question. I've never been asked that before, and I've never even thought to think about that. But probably doors, metaphorically and physically, probably.
I like that answer. That's a good answer. Winter or summer?
Winter.
Your most used phone app?
Text messaging.
Yeah. Greatest achievement?
Mm, that's tough. Probably getting into that LA program this summer. That's a huge step for me. So,
Do you have any hidden talents?
mm, I feel like played good. I started taking lessons for the guitar at 9 years old, and I learned how to read notes during that time. So I feel like I can pick up any instrument pretty quickly. And my sister plays piano, so she's taught me in the past couple of things. I played the clarinet, so I feel like I can musically wise I can pick up things fast.
Okay. If you're hosting a dinner and you can have three guests, Who would those dream dinner guests be, and what meal would you cook?
Hmm. I've always thought, ever since I was little, Will Smith, because he
Okay.
seems like he's just really, really wise and intelligent. So I was like, I'd love to have a conversation with him. Probably Selena Gomez,
Yep.
because she seems really kind. And Derek Jeter, because he's one of my athletic influencers. And the meal, pasta for sure. It's my favorite.
No,
Oh, with some pizza, because I always think pizza and pasta should be ate together in one dinner.
that's fair enough. Speaking of pizza, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Mm, I don't. That's my thing with that is I don't know if it should belong. I don't think anything should. I wouldn't say belong. It's just whatever you like. So if you like that, then that's cool. I've eaten pineapple on pizza because my dad's mom, my grandma, she always got that. That was her favorite. So when I was younger, I used to eat it all the time. I don't anymore. But if you like it, then you like it, and I'm not gonna judge you for that.
Yeah, fair enough. If you were reading a book and it was the story of Alicia Garcia, and the current page that you're on was where you are right now in your life, would you keep reading further into the book to see what happens, or would you just close the book and then let it play out?
I'd probably keep reading, but I'd probably like if I was looking from the outside in, I'd probably be like, oh, this is too much. It'd probably be overwhelming. Because
Hmm.
I feel like I'm a person that my brain's constantly going. So if that was replicated in a book, it'd be like, whoa, whoa. Probably be like, calm down. You'd probably put it down for a couple days and then pick it back up because you want to see what happened next.
Yeah, fair enough. Go to karaoke song.
Probably Meet Me Halfway by the Black Eyed Peas.
That's nice. Oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Best stadium, arena, field that you've played in.
Oh, like in track
Yeah,
or
track
any.
or softball, any
Mm,
sport, I guess.
uh, mm, honestly, I'm not too sure. There's probably been a million places that I've been to since I've played sports my whole life, but I guess one of my favorite places to play. So I don't know if this would be my best one, but it'd be one of my favorites was the Buchanan High. It's a high school softball complex near here, near where I live, and they just have like 5 different fields, and they're nice to play on. They have good grass, good dirt. So I always liked playing there, and I played there so many times. So I guess it's one of my favorite places because there's so many memories there with softball and my teammates.
Okay. Our final two questions now. What advice would you give to future college athletes?
Probably just to make sure to take care of yourself. Um, that just to do make a balance between the sport that you love and your education, along with your personal goals as a person, um, and just not get too caught up with the whole athletics part or even the business part of athletics in in the nation as a whole. Um, it's not only about, you know, um, like how good you run, throw, shoot, or any of that. Um, there's for a lot of people, there's usually a lot more after your college career. So just enjoy your sport, but make sure you just take care of yourself and your mental health, and just try to balance everything. Make sure you have time for friends and family, and just bigger things that are important.
Hmm. And finally, how do you want to be remembered for your time at Fresno Pacific University?
Uh, I want to be remembered as someone who just genuinely cared about people, and someone who's selfless, and that just a kind person overall, and just that I just want people to know that I care about other people. So yeah.
Okay, I like that. Well, thank you everyone to tuning in, watching, listening. We also thank our guest Alicia Garcia, who's been great to interview today. Gave lots of great answers. Um,
Thank you.
is there any social media that you want to plug before the conclusion of the video?
Yeah, so my Instagram is only squeaks 19. Squeaks with two E's, not EA. That was actually my nickname back in all through my childhood and high school. So everyone calls me Squeaks because I always had a really high pitched voice growing up. So yeah, and then my Twitter is only Squeaks without the 19. So yeah.
Well, you heard it there, folks. Make sure to give Alicia a follow and join us in the next episode.